We've been waiting so long, the season's finally here. Soak it up and cheer, cause Timberwolves talk is here. No need to fear, the wait is now gone. So farewell so long, cause Timberwolves talk is on. Yeah, Timberwolves talk is on.
I will absolutely be a fan of bass holes now.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Timberwolves Talk podcast. I'm Peyton, and Chris is going to be joining us from the road right now. He's actually on a business trip. He's coming back to the Twin Cities area so we can go to the game on Monday the 25th against the Pelicans, so that's pretty exciting. Chris, happy to have you join in on the phone.
Yeah, this is I'm happy to be here. This is a little new for me, I'm not going to lie. Like you said, coming back on a business trip for Bathhole Media, and I'm super excited for the new realm of Timberwolves talk over the phone.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I feel kind of awkward here, sitting alone on the screen, looking at the camera, and just not seeing you over there on the other side. Pretty weird.
Yeah, I mean, it is a little weird not like seeing you talking, I guess, on the Zoom, but Let's get into the live stream first of all. Thanks for everyone that joined us. Great time.
Yeah, it was honestly the most fun I've ever had with this whole channel and with this whole experiment per se that me and Chris have been doing. This is that was the most fun I've had. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of just kick back and watch the Wolves handle business. They don't do that too often. Hopefully, it happens a lot more this year, but watching them just completely dominate a team while our best three players are all playing super well, I mean, that's exactly what you want in the first game.
Yeah, it's almost like we're not used to like having that. Like I didn't even know how to act on the live stream when we were just dominating and it was time to put the bench in. It was kind of a weird feeling, and it's something that I definitely could get used to feeling.
Yeah, in the third quarter, I honestly didn't really know what to talk about because we were just doing the same thing over and over again. We were just beating the crap out of them.
Yeah, and honestly, it feels like the mantra of our podcast up to this date before that game was just disappointment. Always trying to be optimistic, always trying to find the positives, but that game just had so many positives that it was almost like we didn't have to do as much work just to talk about the game. Like it came easy.
Yeah, in the near future, we'll have to work out the kinks, obviously. Peyton and I were talking about one of the issues was we didn't have the game lined up. Like, sometimes my game was ahead, sometimes Peyton's game was ahead. It was a little hard to look at the chat and watch the game, but, we'll work that out in time for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's it'll happen with any new thing. I think for that being the first time we did it, I think it honestly went the best that it possibly could have. But for sure, in the future, there's going to be things that we're going to change from that live stream to the next live stream, and then even just down the road. I can't wait to see how far we grow as the season goes, and especially with the success that one had. We're already planning on doing another live stream on October 27th, the Bucks game at 7 p.m. So if that all works out, we'll be posting on our Instagram, Twitter, just to make sure you guys can come join us. But yeah, really excited for that.
I guess getting into the game a little bit, I thought coming out of the gates, both teams were a little sloppy. Especially us, actually, I thought was a little even more sloppier than the Rockets. I think they got out to like a 7-2 jump, and all the Rockets fans in the chat were pretty happy about that. But we pulled in, and the turnovers were limited after the first quarter.
Yeah, it's just kind of what you would expect from a young team, or in fact, any team in the first game of the season, and especially the first quarter of the season. The nerves, I mean, we'd like to downplay that, but these guys, they haven't really played in front of a full packed house in 2 seasons almost. So just the fact having a packed arena, you've been waiting for this for so long. You could definitely see the nerves play out. But you're right. After that first quarter for sure, and after those first few minutes even, we really dialed it in, and we just played a hell of a game of basketball. I mean, you can't even say anything else, really. We dominated them from start to finish, besides that first few minutes.
Yeah. Another thing I kind of enjoyed was just watching Ant take over the first half. Like the end of the first half was one of the like best. I think that was the best quarter we've ever seen from Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
You know, he had a 40-point game last year, but that one it looked like he could not be stopped. Karl Anthony Towns, the entire game, I don't think he shot like 11. He shot 11 for 15, hit the three ball at an over 50% clip. Like if Cat plays like that, like he could be putting up MVP numbers this season.
MVP numbers. That's a bold take, but honestly, it's not a bad take. A thing about Cat that I like to notice is how quiet his games are. He never is the center of attention. It's always like, at least last game, everyone was so talking about Ant, but Cat played one of the best. I mean, he always plays great games, but that was one of the most complete games he's played in a long time, I think.
Offensively and defensively, I really enjoyed, you know, watching him block shots, stop drives. I also really enjoyed Jaden McDaniel's defense. I thought he was, there was a lot of talk about Okogie too, which was well deserved. I thought he played great, and but Jaden McDaniels, man, he was just getting turnover after turnover for us.
Yeah, almost every single play that dude made was a big play. Like it just seemed like he was making the big plays, like a lot of steals. I don't know the exact number of steals that he had, but a lot of steals, a lot of blocks. He made a huge impact on the game, and he didn't really do much offensively. And I think that was very telling of the player he is and the type of player he's going to be for us in the future. We don't need him scoring a lot of points. We just need him to be making those plays, those role player plays at a high level, and I think he did that. And I also think Josh Okogie played a hell of a game as well.
Yeah, Okogie, you know, every player who did an interview, like at least the D'Lo, Caps, and Anthony Edwards, every one of them mentioned Okogie. I thought that was very telling of, you know, kind of where that intensity came from on the court. And they all talked about how they kind of had a spark from Josh, and I think that was very important to the, what do we have, like over 30 fast break points or something like that? Like that was we want to get out in transition. That's how you win games. You don't win games by getting into the half court setting every single time down the floor. You win games by getting those points off turnovers and those fast break points.
And another player that actually surprised me defensively, and I don't know if I've been blind to this in the rest of his career with Minnesota, or if I've just undervalued this, but Malik Beasley played great defense, and he had a few huge plays at critical moments in the game where they just kind of turned the table and just asserted us even more as the dominant team in that game.
Yeah, Malik had that. I really love that play where he sprinted down the floor, and Kevin Porter was going up for a dunk, and he stripped him before he went up. And Malik went flying into the bench, and you saw like 8 Timberwolves pick him up, man. That's what you want to see from a team.
I mean, even like you don't even see that very often in NBA. That's like a college, high school thing. Just that energy that we had on the bench. And I know the Timberwolves and a lot of people have been posting that clip, but that shows that this team is in it together. And also how you were talking about how they were all shouting out Josh Okogie after the game. If you look at the stat sheet, he's one of the last names that'll pop out to you when you're looking at stats of the game when you don't actually watch the game. But the fact that all the players, instead of mentioning Ant or Cat, most of them mention Josh Okogie, that just shows that this team understands that it's not about scoring. It's about the little plays, and Josh Okogie made great plays, and I think that he deserves to start next game because of that.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt in my mind he deserves to start. I really did like that starting five. That played out exactly how we wanted it to. Those three did the bulk of the scoring, and Jaden and Josh know their roles. And I think that'll be the starting lineup possibly for the entire year. I can see that. You know, Malik started off a little I don't want to say he was bad last game because I think he did different things well that he wouldn't usually do well.
Right.
Defense, obviously. And when he hit his first three, I think that's kind of when he got more involved in the game. You saw it. I think it was Ant to Malik. Malik hit that three, and then he just got more engaged. And I think hopefully that's what will settle him down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the same as for most players. Once you see one start to fall, everything else kind of opens up and you start playing better. A few stats for Beasley, dude. And the fact that I called him Michael Beasley at the beginning of this podcast just a few minutes ago is no disrespect to him as a player or as a person. It was an accident. But he had two steals and 2 blocks. And even me and you, Chris, have criticized Malik before on his defense maybe needs to step up. But after this first game, I'm impressed. And I'm not saying that he's a great defender all of a sudden, but just seeing that's what you like to see is players that maybe haven't been the best defenders even stepping up defensively. I think that just proves that this team is different now.
Yeah, and my Zoom is currently being like really weird. Actually,
That's all right.
See what happens there.
Could you?
We're working kinks, guys, for everything. You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. Did you hear what I said though?
Yeah, a little. I heard a little bit about what you said about Beasley and how the defense was really, and I would 100% agree. I was a little worried that it wouldn't translate from the preseason, but I think it might. I really do think it might.
Yeah, another thing I want to say is, I mean, we're talking about defense, energy, team spirit, all these things, but the guy who is the culprit of all that wasn't even in the gym. How do you see Patrick Beverley's return? Do you think he's how do you think he's going to fit into the rotation? And do you think that the defense is going to make even a step higher with him back on the court?
I think it'll be great. I mean, there wasn't a lot of guard depth. You saw McLaughlin, and I don't think he was like, I don't even really think Jordan contributed a whole ton to the offense or defense. So I mean, having Beverley for the next game is just going to be an added bonus. I think it'll be very good. I think Beverly's potentially a better spot up 3-point shooter than McLaughlin, and obviously a better defender. So I mean, there's endless possibilities for this lineup. I mean, the way that they're playing right now, even though it was just the Rockets and throughout the preseason, man, I can't see this team being an easy team to beat anymore. Like, you're not just going to come to Minneapolis and get a free win against the Timberwolves. You're going to have to play.
Yeah, exactly. We're not at that point yet, and obviously it's one game. We're not at that point yet where we are going to be the favorites of most games, but we're also at that point where you're right. Teams are not going to just want to come to Minnesota in the cold of winter and just say, oh, this is going to be an easy win. They're going to have to fight for it against us. A fun fact that I have, I'm going to give credit to this fact from Dane Moore. The Timberwolves have won 6 of the last 6 home openers that they've had. And as we've seen in the last few seasons, it hasn't gone that well for us. But do you think that the optimism that these fans that all of us are showing right now is a little bit of an overreaction, or do you think that it's validated here?
You know, the past few times that we've had good starts to the season, the past 2 years, they've been against bad teams or injured teams. Like, the Nets were a good example. They only had Kyrie at this point. KD had a torn Achilles after the finals 2 years ago. But, you know, I would proceed with caution a little bit because obviously we have seen this before, but there is a different feel to this team. I think there's a lot more confidence instilled in this team at the moment. But, you know, they are the Timberwolves at the end of the day, so we do have to be optimistically cautious, I think is the correct term.
That's a great way to put it. Optimistically cautious. I think that I think the difference this year is just that we finally have taken the time to put together a well-oiled roster where everything makes sense on our team. We got the role players, we got the stars, we got a star that can take the attention, and we also have a star that can play a little bit with less spotlight, and he's okay with that. We got D'Angelo Russell, who's not as worried about making his own plays, but when he does heat up, he can hit a bunch of threes right in a row, and you don't even know what hit you. And I think that we got it's just the roster is well constructed that I don't know. I see it a lot harder for us to have the classic Minnesota Timberwolves meltdown.
Yeah, there is a lot more, you know, just variety of players in the team. You know, there's a lot more needs fulfilled, and that's all we need. I mean, that's all we're asking for is just for a little defense, a little hard play. You know, we already have the offense. So it's going to be a good season. I really do. Like, Peyton and I said it was the year last year, and it might have been the year, if our star players didn't go down. But, like, if Ant takes that sophomore jump, there's no way we're not a playoff team. That's you can set that in stone.
Yeah, and I think I think it's kind of cool actually now that the national media is finally starting to see Ant almost on that same level as LaMelo. Like I've been noticing that he's finally starting to get that respect that we were calling for last year, and that he just didn't get last year.
Yeah, 100%. And also, LaMelo did have a great game too. So this is gonna be a little competition between the two already. I can already tell. But I'm excited. I really am to see which player will be better this season. I think LaMelo has a better opportunity to get more shots up and be a bigger part of that team. But do you think these two could be all-stars this year, or one or the other?
The LaMelo's in the Eastern Conference, correct? I know. I'm pretty sure, right? Charlotte's in the East.
Yeah.
So I feel like LaMelo has a lot easier route to the All-Star game. Obviously, last year Devin Booker did not make the All-Star game. The West is very crowded at guards, especially. So I think Ant really needs to have just an amazing season if he wants to have a chance to get into the All-Star game. I think that LaMelo in the All-Star game, I think that's a much better shot, but both of them, I don't know. I think that if Ant keeps playing like he did last game, he has a good shot, but even at that point, I don't know if he for sure will make the All-Star game.
I think Ant would probably have to average around 26, 27 to make it, because I think D-Book last year was at 25 and didn't make it. So yeah, that'll be tough. I mean, honestly, all I'm looking for Ant this year is efficiency. And I don't want him to get 25 points on 25 shots. I want him to get 25 points on maybe 15, 14 shots.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he took 12 threes, but he made 6 of them. That's all you can ask.
Yeah, I have two stats that when I was looking over the box score, two stats that really stood out to me, and I kind of just want to talk about those two stats. And you just brought up the first one was Anthony Edwards, 6 for 12 from threes. He hasn't really been known as a three-point shooter throughout his career. I guess that's kind of something that he picked up last year towards the end of the year was his three-point shooting. But, wow, man, 6 threes in a game is pretty good. And even on 12 shots, that's not – I mean, I don't know. I think that's a really good sign for Anthony Edwards in his career that he's starting to pick up that three-point shot a little bit better.
Oh, yeah. If he went 6 of 12 last year from 3, we would be, shocked. We would
yeah.
I am shocked he went 6 of 12 for 3 still, but that is a drastic improvement from where he was last year. He'd have a lot of those Wiggins-esque 3-point shooting nights, and that obviously I think he's a more complete player and better than Andrew Wiggins, but you never want to see a guy that inefficient. He is starting to, I think, learn the game a little bit better than.
Yeah, the only thing I could see problematic was that is I hope he just doesn't get 3-point trigger happy, because if instead of making 6 threes, maybe he made 3 threes. He was 3 for 12. That starts to become a problem. I hope that he can be conscious of when he's on, and maybe he can focus more on shooting the threes. But when he's off, I want Anthony Edwards to focus on getting to the cup and getting to the free throw line, because that's where he's most effective. Even if he's making threes, he still is more effective getting to the basket.
Yeah, and obviously Ant's not going to be a 50% 3-point shooter
this
year. He's going to be around the likes of, I would hope, mid-30s. I think mid-30s would be a good for him. Obviously, I would love him to be shooting 40%. But he made an interesting comment, actually, after the game. He talked about how the reason he has to put up so many threes is to open up those driving lanes for him. But honestly, he's such a physically dominating player that I feel like he can get to the cup at will on some guys.
Yeah, but I mean that is a good point. That's kind of speaking to that. He's starting to understand the game more. Is that basketball is at least a 2-dimensional sport. So if you're a shooter, and when you start making your shots, getting to the cup becomes a lot easier, and vice versa. When you can start getting to the basket at will, your 3-point shot's going to start getting better. And then when you can start doing both of those effectively, it just opens up a whole new level of your game because the defense doesn't know what to do. They have to start guessing. They have to start closing out a little softer, leaving you open for a shot. Or if in turn they start closing out harder, you're going to have an easier job getting to the cup. So it just makes it just builds it on itself, and it just makes everything easier.
Yeah, it for sure opens up a lot more when you have that 3-point shot.
Yeah.
Another thing, what was I going to talk about? Not much of Noel 2 nights ago, and I think I would say the reason for that being is I think he would have been out there a little bit more, but he was just injured. Like I don't think there's much to look into that, honestly. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think McLaughlin got the bid over Noel for the guard position there?
I think it's a case of a few things. I was talking to my buddy about this yesterday. Actually, I think that Noel, if we're going to be the team that we all want to be, Noel's a great player, but at this moment, I think that we're very guard heavy, and I think that when you become a great team, you're going to have to start not playing those players that are good with potential because we already have better options. So like last year, sure, Noel was a big piece to this team, but I think as you start getting better as a team, those players are going to have to start taking backseat roles. But my personal preference is I'd rather have Noel out there than McLaughlin. And also, I think, yeah, you're right. It had to do with the injury a little bit for sure.
Like, also, I believe Malik being a 6-man now, that affects Noel's minute.
Yeah.
To be honest, Okogie deserves that starting spot at the moment. No matter like if you're an Okogie fan or not, he deserves that starting spot. He brings the juice to that lineup, and he deserves to be the starting 3. He's athletic defender. Honestly, took great shots. He didn't take a bad shot, in my opinion. Just a smart player, and that's who needs to be playing, are smart players. So obviously, I think talent's probably the forefront of what you want to build your team around, but you also have to build it around intelligent players like Okogie. And Okogie's having a better start to the season. I like Okogie in the 3 spot, bring some versatility. I like Beasley coming off the bench is a little syndicate for the scoring. And I also, I kind of like McLaughlin a little bit. He's more of a true point guard than Noel.
Yeah.
And I think part of the reason is obviously Bev was hurt, but McLaughlin, like, he spreads the ball. He's a true point guard. He spreads the ball around. He's not looking to do much besides set his teammates up. So I think within that game plan, I think he was probably the better play. And where will Noel play in the future? I can foresee a lineup of Pat, Bev, Noel, and Malik. I can foresee that. I don't know if that'd be an every game second unit type thing. But I don't know if we can look into it too much. I think we'd have to wait until he's not on the injury report to kind of speculate.
Yeah, and especially speaking on J-Mac, little J-Mac is when he is out on the court with Naz Reid, should I say, with Naz Reid on the court with J-Mac, Naz is a better player. They really have some great chemistry together, and I think that J-Mac really elevates Reid's game.
Yeah, 100 for sure agree. That pick and pop really works with them, and I think it's underrated aspect of Naz's game is actually his cutting.
Yeah.
You'll see him get open a lot towards the basket. That's where he gets most of his points, is those little backcourt cuts. He's a decent driver for a big man too, and an okay shooter. But you guys watch, the bulk of his points are from cutting and little post moves.
Dude, he's gonna be something scary down the future. Even this year, man, that's what I'm saying about this team is we have so much depth. And like Naz Reid is a great player, and he's not gonna be a huge part of the offense most games, but when we need him to step up, I think he's just going to be a great option for us. One stat that I also wanted to bring up, my second stat was Cat had a plus 34 plus minus. And
I mean, that's MVP. Well, it's one game. It's one game, but if he can average like a a plus 10 throughout the season, it just goes to show how valuable he is. And he really is underrated, and that's crazy to say about a borderline superstar. That I personally would put him in the superstar category this year, last year if he didn't get hurt. He's putting up, I think last year was around 26, 12, and 4.
Yeah.
That's superstar numbers, and he doesn't get the recognition that Embiid and Jokic get, and I personally don't understand.
Yeah, even from our fan base, I feel like we all underrate him. Even me at the same time, like he can put up that crazy of a game, and it's just kind of quiet. He's a quiet player, and I think you need that. You need a little bit of everything on every team. Okay, so I'm kind of new to the NBA stats. Can you explain the PER rating to me?
Player efficiency rating.
Yeah.
So I believe I want to say it's shooting combined with minutes.
I'm gonna look it up. I'm sorry to put you on the spot like that. That was it's an all-in-one basketball rating. The league's average is 15.
I want to say it combines minutes played and field goal percentage.
So it takes into account field goals, free throws, three-pointers, assists, rebounds, blocks, steals, and then also negative things such as missed shots, turnovers, and personal fouls. The formula adds positive stats and subtracts negative ones through a statistical point system, and then the rating is adjusted on a per minute basis.
Exactly. That's what I think it was minutes of scoring, and well, obviously it includes more now that I know. But so I would kind of compare that to WAR in baseball. It's kind of like it's how valuable you are to your team, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like it's just a stat that takes everything into account and kind of it's a way of comparing players, putting all the stats together into like assigning one number to a player basically. But on those lines, I'm looking at these stats from last game, and Karl-Anthony Towns had a 46 PER.
What's the league average again?
15. And the next best on the Wolves was D'Angelo Russell with 25. So that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I like to see that. I think plus minus player efficiency rating is probably the best measure of how successful a player is to your team, and it just goes to show how valuable Cat is. You saw it last year, especially when Cat was down and it was just D'Lo and Ant playing. They struggled mightily, but when it was D'Lo down, Cat and Ant playing, they won a lot of games, and that's just not I'm not harping on D'Lo at all, but it's just like Cat is that dude.
He is that dude. Well, I guess we should. Do you want to look ahead to the Pelicans game on Saturday?
Would love to.
All right. So ESPN right now, obviously that's not the most reliable place to look for chances to win, but the Timberwolves have a 69% chance to win the game. Zion Williamson's out. What are you thinking looking at this game? We already beat him in the preseason. I mean, what do you think?
So by the way, to our audience, the Wolves play the Pelicans on Saturday and Monday, and Peyton and I will be at the Monday game. So I'll kind of group both these games into two of what I think is going to happen. Because we probably won't have a Timberwolves talk before.
No, most definitely not.
But I would say, without a top player in the league like Zion, Zion's probably at least top 20 player in the league. Taking that away from the Pelicans, they have a couple decent pieces. I've always liked Valanciunas throughout his career. I think he's a very underrated player. I think he does the dirty work, and he's on winning teams like the Raptors for so long and the Grizzlies. I think Valanciunas always gives Cat a tough time. That's just the Memphis blood in Valanciunas. So him and BI are an interesting, set of players, in that BI has improved so much. Brandon Ingram has improved so much over his career. where I think he's borderline star.
Definitely a star.
So, yeah. If we can hold BI to like 23, Valanciunas to 17, 16, I don't think we have any issues with these two games against the Pelicans. I think we sweep this series 2-0 and go on to 3-0 and face the Bucks on next Wednesday.
Yep, Bucks on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm seeing the most Wisconsin thing ever right now driving. There's just a truck full of cows sticking their heads out. But yeah, I think we sweep the Pelicans, no issue. But like I said, it's any given day in any sport, and these are professional players. If you don't come with your game, they're gonna beat you. So.
Yeah, I think I have the same approach to it as you. I just have a little bit more realism. Skepticism is a good word to say. Last time when we played the Pelicans in the preseason, I think BI, as you say, had a pretty rough outing, but usually against us, I feel like he plays pretty well, and he's the type of player where he can take over a game. So I think if we can shut down Brandon Ingram, maybe put a Kogi on him or something, I think that's going to be the key to winning the game, because besides Brandon Ingram, they don't have much. So if you can stop him, I think we have a pretty dang good shot at starting the season out 3-0, which is just incredible.
I don't have the roster in front of me, but is Bledsoe on the Pelicans at the moment, or did he get traded again this offseason?
I think he got traded, because I feel like he gets traded all the time. But I'm looking it up right now. Actually, he might, because I remember seeing him in the preseason on one of the games we played. So I don't know if it was that game.
I believe Bledsoe on the Pelicans. Bledsoe's always kind of been a dog his whole career. He's a good defender. I really like Kira Lewis coming off the bench for the Pelicans too. I think he's obviously super quick. He's kind of like I don't want to describe him as like a really bad. He's a type of player kind of like Kyrie, where he's really fast and shifty. He's got a decent shot on him. Obviously not as good as Kyrie, but he's a young player to watch out for, I think too. Jackson Hayes is always pretty decent coming off the bench. So I think we match up very well with Pelicans. But Valanciunas always gives us issues, it seems like, and so does BI. So
Bledsoe's actually on the Clippers. That's what we're thinking, because we watched the Clippers game.
Okay, gotcha. So is Kira Lewis starting now for them?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Let's see. I had a couple people tell me we should actually do a vlog before Monday's game.
That'd be something. I would do that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if you guys leave in the comments that you want a little game day vlog, kind of see. I haven't been to Target Center for a couple of years because of COVID, but it's a fun time. I actually really like going to Timberwolves games.
Yeah, hell yeah. I think we should do that. It's a great idea. I have one topic I want to bring up. It's going to be a little bit deeper than most things we talk about on this podcast, because usually all we talk about is surface level stuff and kind of the game. It's something I've been noticing in the NBA community, the Twitter community. I think it's kind of fucked up, man. Have you been seeing all these memes about Zion and his weight gain and all this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, I have been seeing a lot of stuff about it. Like, obviously, he visibly looks bigger, and that's kind of like an issue, because I believe he got fined for weight gain, or I know players do. Some contracts, they have like weight gain clauses, like for Eddie Lacy, for example.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He actually had a binge eating disorder, and that's kind of what got him out of the league. Like, he was a pretty dang good running back for a little bit, and I hope that's not what's happening with Zion, because eating, like, I think people downplay the effects of like eating disorders just in general in our society. It's a severe issue, and if that's what actually is going on with Zion, that's extremely sad. Like, I don't want to say this because I actually love Zion, but like, if he keeps putting weight on like that, and he's obviously an insanely athletic guy, those knees are not going to last, man. That's too much weight, too much force on the knees.
Yeah. The thing about it is I've been seeing there's that one angle. They show the picture from his rookie year compared to the picture from this year. And the thing is, man, it's really just the angle that they're showing, it's an under angle and it really just makes him look a lot bigger than I think he actually is. And I think just the problem with it is it's a lot of people speculating on his weight gain and all this stuff without actually knowing what's going on and what if he's actually gained weight or if there's actually even is a problem with that, or maybe Zion's just he's always been a big guy.
Yeah, he's
And
been a huge guy.
I don't know, and I just keep seeing these memes all over of like him eating all the New Orleans food and stuff, and if he is having an issue, I think that him seeing all this stuff is only going to make it worse, and I don't know, I just think it's kind of messed up.
That's just social media today. I mean, like,
Yeah,
it's almost the same thing with the Kyrie Irving situation. I'm not going to get into.
No, tiptoe.
But like, there's so much people commenting on the situation that have no clue like why Kyrie made the decision or why. Like I said, I'm not going to comment on like politics of vaccinations, but like, no one has any clue what Kyrie is like going.
Yeah.
Well, they're going.
Yeah, and even like speaking of, oh, sorry, we lost you there for a second.
No, it's all good. Go ahead.
Speaking of this mental health stuff, like even the Ben Simmons situation, like how the news is coming out that he is not mentally ready to play, and that's what he's saying, and everyone's saying like this is just an excuse, all this stuff, but like now we got to start taking this stuff a little bit more seriously. If he's really not mentally ready to play yet, you can't expect him to go out and play. He's been going through so much with the media and everything right now. Like, I don't know. I feel like not many people are looking at it from that side.
I mean, just touching on the Ben Simmons, I won't dive too into it. But
Yeah.
like, I think both sides really like, messed up this situation horrifically. I don't think Rich Paul did a great job of, going about getting Ben Simmons traded. I don't think Ben Simmons did a good job of going about getting himself traded. And I think Daryl Morey and the whole Sixers organization in general you tried to trade the man for James Harden. People forget about this. Ben Simmons does not forget about this. Philly has never believed in Ben Simmons, and I don't want to hear anything different from Philly fans. You've never believed in Ben Simmons. You've never
Right.
gave him a shot. One bad game has led to.
Yes.
Ben Simmons is like the most versatile defender in the league. He's a big scoring threat. Like, people forget when Embiid was out, he dropped like 45 on Rudy Gobert. He is one of the most intelligent players in the league, best passers. It's one element of his game is missing and it's improving. There's obviously something there, like a mental block that's not letting him shoot, and I think a different situation would really benefit him. And I think the Sixers have really messed this up because they highballed him, like they highballed all these teams, especially like including the Timberwolves. They highballed these teams extraordinary amounts for a disgruntled player. Like when we had to trade Jimmy Butler, we got like Dario Saric and Robert Covington as the second, I believe. Ben Simmons is not going to be traded for much. I guarantee it. After these outbursts, teams are going to be questioning his character right now, and I don't know if his character is actually bad. I just know he wants to get out of Philly. I know he got kicked out of practice because he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, and I don't know. When I see a situation like this, instead of jumping to the conclusion, I like to look at it from both perspectives. And you're right. Ben Simmons, has he handled this situation well? No. Has he handled this situation decent? No. He's handled this pretty bad, and he's made a lot of bad steps. But the fact that people are expecting him to come back and play and practice like nothing happened, you got to be kidding me. Like, imagine being Ben Simmons right now trying to go play a game for the Philadelphia 76ers after your owner is saying all this stuff about you, after Embiid has said all this stuff. Like, it's an impossible situation for him to be in, and I just can't even imagine. And the spotlight, man.
Yeah, I think the whole story of Ben Simmons, honestly, is a lack of trust with the organization.
Mm-hmm.
And to an extent, I think it's very fair of Ben Simmons to have that distrust.
Yeah.
He's always been second to Embiid. They've tried to trade him multiple times. The fans are not nice to him. Philly's a tough city to play in, but like,
Oh yeah,
and this guy's a premier NBA player. He was an all-star last year, for God's sake.
dude. It's like you know what? He might not be cut out to play in Philly, but that doesn't mean he's not cut out to play in a smaller market team. That might be exactly what he needs. And the problem is they're saying that this could go on for 4 years. 4 more years of this.
I can't imagine because Ben's not going to lose out on $32 million. Like, he's going to play this year no matter what. He can't afford to lose out on $32 million. But you're telling me he's going to be trying his fucking hardest? No. He's going to get kicked out of practice.
It's going to be a sticky situation. I just feel bad and like, I don't know. I just think that the media and like having Shams and those guys tweet about every little thing is only going to make it worse. And I just feel bad for Ben Simmons. He's wasting away his prime sitting on the bench in Philadelphia.
I really think actually a good landing spot for Ben Simmons might be that Houston team. Like, could you imagine, add one of the best defenders and passers to that team, maybe a little bit of, it's crazy, he's only 25, but a little bit of veteran leadership. Hey man, I think seeing Jalen Green, Ben Simmons, depending on who they can keep, they have a lot of picks. I mean, maybe you ship John Wall and 4 first rounds over there. Keep your own core, man. Christian Wood, Ben Simmons, Kevin Porter, Jalen Green. Hey, that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, dude, I feel like there's just so many situations where Ben Simmons would thrive in the league, and then he's stuck in literally the worst spot for him. And I honestly just feel bad for him. I feel bad for everyone in this situation. I feel bad for all the players on Philadelphia that have to deal with all this going on right now. They just want to play.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like we're not disagreeing with Embiid, by the way. I understand the frustration Embiid has of losing a player you need to make the playoffs. Like, if it's just the Embiid Sixers with Tobias Harris, hey man, in the East you can probably make the playoffs, but if they were in the West, I think it'd be over. I honestly don't think they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You need Ben Simmons.
You need Ben Simmons, and it's just a sticky situation. I'm happy it's not us that's going through that right now after going through the whole Jimmy Butler situation. But yeah, I think it's good that we touched on both those topics because they're both very prevalent in the current NBA right now. And yeah, I think it's good to hear our takes on it. But I don't know, man. It's a business trip. I'm really excited for the game. I think, might as well just do a game day vlog.
Yeah, I think so. Peyton and I will both be back. Be chilling.
Yeah, it'll be a great day. I'm excited for this Pelicans game tomorrow night. Even more excited for the game on Monday. Thank you guys for tuning in if you've listened to this far. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, and be ready for next Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the live stream of the Bucks game. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Chris, have a great drive home. Have a great rest of your weekend, bro.
Appreciate it.
See you, buddy.